The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Despite the ongoing threat of COVID-19, COMELEC says suspending the upcoming polls is, quote, not an option. Greg Gregorio with the report.
A little over 1 week before the May 9 polls, the COMELEC admits they've been warned against the possibility that election could be a COVID super spreader event.
Data shows na after elections, merong high probability na magkaroon ng spike tayo kasi sa elections ay super spreader events, sabi nila.
But the poll body said they have contingency measures in place. This includes setting up an isolated polling place in every polling center, which will be beneficial to those voters who would be manifesting symptoms like body temperatures of more than 37.5 degrees Celsius upon arriving at the polling center.
Hindi natin pwedeng i-deny yung karapatan nilang bumoto kasi on election day, wala naman nung makakapagsabi kung may COVID.
The health department has also just detected the country's first case of the Omicron subvariant BA.2.12, a 52-year-old Finnish female who arrived in the Philippines early April and went to Quezon City and Baguio City. But with this continuing threat, is the COMELEC considering a possible suspension of the upcoming elections?
I don't think we can postpone an elections. We have already prepared for any eventualities. We have the supplies ready.
According to the COMELEC Shipping and Packing Committee, they have completed the dispatch of ballot boxes and transmission devices. Meanwhile, the delivery of consolidated canvassing machine systems, laptops, vote counting machines, and VCM external batteries is also nearing completion, while the deployment of official ballots, which only started on April 20, is now at almost 50%. COMELEC Steering Committee Head Commissioner Marlon Casquejo even added that they have already prepared 8 regional repair hubs for VCMs across the country.
The purpose of this VCM repair hub is for the defective VCM to be repaired immediately so that we can use again this defective VCM or repaired VCM.
And so with all of these, the Commission maintained they are already prepared for any eventualities.
Alam na po namin kung ano po yung mga possible scenario, yung mga kakulian or untowards incident na posibleng mangyari. So with that, we made some preparations. Meron na po tayong mga contingency measures. And in our election day, we have our CEMAC, COMELEC Emergency Monitoring Action Committee, to answer all those problems. So kaya po, sigurado po tayo, suspension is not an option. We will do the elections, conduct the elections as mandated by the Constitution.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Rockwell Power Plant Mall became ground zero for the clash of Robredo and Marcos supporters. Marian Enriquez has the details.
The Rockwell Power Plant Mall in Makati became a political battleground on Thursday. This as supporters of both presidential bets Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Vice President Leni Robredo flocked to Rockwell. Guards even had to try and contain the crowd, which had resorted to chants.
Naano nila na ang supporters daw ni BBM ay puro CDE. So we just want to show and shout na, hey, merong A and B. So we're just walking, we're just leisurely window shopping.
But while that was going on, Robredo and her running mate Senator Kiko Pangilinan continued their campaigning as Election Day draws closer. To cover more ground, the two split up their campaigns.
May mga areas ako halimbawa na kinakailangan kong habulin dahil based on our polling, medyo kailangan pang presence natin.
Pangilinan, together with his family, farmers from San Simon in Pampanga, welcomed Sumilaw farmers in Baclaran. The Sumilaw farmers marched from Bukidnon to Manila to make a push for Robredo and Pangilinan.
Ay kinakailangan baguhin. Ang pananaw ng ating mga kababayan ay kinakailangang baguhin dahil kinakailangan talagang bigyang respeto ang ating mga magsasaka at ang ating mga mangingisda.
Robredo, on the other hand, made her way to Quezon as she focuses the last stretch of her campaign in the Lingayen-Lucena corridor. Recall that Robredo won in vote-reach Quezon back in 2016.
Masaya tayo na nakabalik tayo dito. In the next 4 days, 4A tayo, Calabarzon tayo. Sobrang laki ng Quezon, sobrang laki din ng botante. Kaya napakahalaga niya.
After Quezon, the Vice President is expected to make her way to Laguna, then Batangas, and lastly, Cavite on Sunday. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Meanwhile, let's get a recap on the campaign trail of election survey frontrunner Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza reports.
Mag-ingay tayong lahat para sa ating susunod na presidente, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.
Since the start of the campaign period, the Marcos campaign stuck to just one message with single-minded discipline, that of unity.
Sa ating mga kababayan, kung ano at bakit ang adhikain ng pagkakaisa at bakit kailangan yan para sa ating pagbalik sa mas magandang buhay.
Despite all the controversies hounding his campaign, Marcos stuck to this theme, and the controversies were many, from the disqualification case to his refusal to face controversial questions about his family's wealth to skipping most of the debates. Instead, Marcos chose to let his social media influencers carry the fight for him via Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and vlogs.
Ano po ba para sa inyo yung bias? Because as we all know, Ms. Jessica Soho is a well-respected personality sa media. So, ano po ba yung bias para sa inyo?
Anti-Marcos.
And the most recent controversy, the 203 billion unpaid estate tax of the Marcos family. But the most controversial candidate slipped past these issues like Teflon, racking up numbers never seen before in Philippine electoral campaigns. Since December 2021, Marcos had taken a commanding lead that broke the 50% barrier, at times hitting even 60% in a field of 10 presidential candidates. Clearly, the issues against Marcos were not sticking. This much was also clear in the campaign sorties. And with the voters come the candidates. Marcos snagged the endorsement of local officials from Tarlac, Bailiwick of the Aquinos, and Vote-Rich Cebu.
Mamayaan na natin yung mga bumabatikos. It's time for forgiveness and healing. Mag-unite tayo.
In the March survey of Pulse Asia, Lenny Robredo's numbers are seeing some improvements, with a very slight dip in Marcos's numbers. Certainly not enough to upset the rankings, but enough to give Marcos pause and Robredo's camp some hope. Julie Baiza, we are One News.
Presidential candidate Leody de Guzman received a warm welcome from the fisherfolk in Tabangon, Leyte. In a Facebook post, Leody said that this is the first time that a national candidate has reached that area. The Labor leader visited the town to hold a forum with the Tabangon Fisherfolk Association. Senator Kiko Pangilinan is urging the government to immediately release detained Senator Laila de Lima after self-confessed drug lord Kerwin Espinosa recanted all of his allegations against her. In a statement, Pangilinan said that de Lima's 5-year detention is a great injustice, especially since Espinosa admitted that his testimony against the lawmaker is false. Vice presidential candidate Walden Bello shared the same sentiment. Bello also emphasized that one of the key elements of his campaign with Leody de Guzman is the unconditional release of de Lima, who, quote, has long been suffering the president's vindictiveness. Meanwhile, following the revelation in favor of Senator de Lima, the Student Christian Movement of the Philippines says the truth shall set de Lima and all political prisoners free. The SCMP even said that Espinosa's latest statement has revealed, quote, the truth that President Duterte is addicted to power. Johnny Depp's defamation trial has concluded for the day with more damning testimony against the actor's ex-wife, Amber Heard. Depp's driver, Starling Jenkins, took the stand and told the story of how Heard allegedly got sick from drinking red wine and consuming, quote, magic mushrooms at Coachella. The actor's security guard Malcolm Connolly also testified about the infamous 2015 fight between the celebrity couple. Connolly denied remembering that a drunk Depp tried to urinate in the foyer, contrary to Heard's claims, and the security guard quipped that he would have remembered having seen Depp's member if that incident had truly happened. Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. Self-confessed drug trader Kerwin Espinosa takes back his allegations against Senator Laila de Lima that connects her to the alleged illegal drugs business in the New Bilibid prison. Up to 40 close contacts of the country's first case of the Omicron subvariant BA.2.12 have been identified. And the De La Salle Green Archers secure a spot in the UAAP Final Four. And those are the top stories at this hour. Do join us again later at 11 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We're One News.